Good morning, students. I hope you all are fine. So, as you know, we are doing the book Vistas, and today we'll do the last chapter of the syllabus, that is, chapter number 1 of Vistas, and the name of the chapter is The Third Level, written by Jack Finney. Chapter number 1, The Third Level by Jack Finney. So, in this chapter, Jack Finney describes how he found himself on the third level at the Grand Central Station. Grand Central Station is the railway station in USA. The rail authority swore that there were only two levels at the Grand Central. Level means stories. But the narrator claimed to have been on the third level. He had seen the old word charms of 1894. His psychiatrist friend called it a waking dream wish fulfillment. The third level was a medium of escape for Charlie from the harsh realities of modern life. It provided him a base. He could interweave fantasy and reality there. So, it was the introduction. Now let us start the reading. The presidents of the New York Central and the New York Central is the main railway station of New York, and New Haven and Hartford railroads are the other railway stations. General railway stations in New York will swear on stack of timetables that there are only two. So the presidents of the railway stations were talking about that there were only two stories of New York Central Railway Station. But I say there are three, but Charlie is I, and he was saying that there were three stories. Because I have been on third level of the Grand Central Station, yes, I have taken the obvious step. I talked to a psychiatrist friend of mine, among others. I told him about the third level at Grand Central Station, and he said it was a waking dream wish fulfillment. When so Charlie says that when he talked to his friend who was a psychiatrist, he told that it was a waking dream wish fulfillment means it was a daydream. Moreover, the friend said I was unhappy, and I that made my wife kind of mad. But he explained that he meant the modern world is full of insecurity, fear, war, worry, and all the rest of it. So the friend said that the modern world is full of all these things. Well, who the rest of it, and I just want to escape. Well, who doesn't? Everybody I know wants to escape, and he talked to his psychiatrist friend that everybody want to get away from this world, but they don't wander down into any third level at the Grand Central Station. That's the reason, he said, and all my friends agreed. Everything points to it, they claimed. My stamp collecting, for example, that's the temporary refuge from reality. I was fond of stamp collecting, and it was said by the others that it was the shelter from reality, कि मैं reality से बचने के लिए stamp collecting करता हूँ. Well, maybe, but my grandfather didn't need any refuge from reality. कहता हो सकता है ये मेरे लिए तो सही हो, लेकिन मेरे ग्रैंडफादर भी यही काम करते थे स्टैम्प कलेक्टिंग का, बट ही डेंट वॉन्ट एनी शेल्टर फ्रॉम रियलिटी. थिंग्स वर प्रिटी नाइस एंड पीसफुल in his day from all I hear, and he started my collection. It's nice collection too. Blocks of four of practically every US issue, first take awards and so on. President Roosevelt collected stamp too, you know. Anyway, here's that what happened at Grand Central. कहता अब मैं बताता हूँ Grand Central रेलवे स्टेशन पे क्या हुआ. One night last summer I worked late at the office. So एक रात चार्ले बोलता है कि मैं लेट हो गया था और मैंने ये सोचा कि मैंने अब अपने घर जाना है, एंड इट्स बेटर टू गो फ्रॉम सबवे इंस्टेड ऑफ टेकिंग अ बस, कि बस टाइम लगाएगी, बेटर है कि मैं सबवे से चला जाऊँ. नाउ आई डोंट नो वाई दिस शुड हैव हैपन टू मी. कहता मेरे को नहीं पता ये क्यों हुआ मेरे साथ. एंड ही सेज दैट आई यूज टू चूज दिस वे, and every time whenever I followed this way I lost the way. I am just an ordinary guy named Charlie, 31 years old, and I was wearing a tan gabardine suit and straw hat with fancy band. I passed a dozen men who looked just like me, and I wasn't trying to escape from anything because I was in a worry to get home to my wife Louisa. I turned into Grand Central Station from Vanderbilt Avenue and went down to steps to the first level where you take trains like the 20th century. मैं कहता फर्स्ट लेवल पे पहुंचा वहाँ कैसा था जैसे कि 20th सेंचुरी की ट्रेन्स होती हैं. Then I walked down another flight means another stairs of second level where the suburban trains leave. सेकेंड स्टोरी से सब अर्बन एरियाज को ट्रेन्स जाती हैं. And it was ducked into an arched doorway heading for the subway and got lost. That's easy to do. I have been in and out of Grand Central hundreds of times, but I am always bumping into new doorways, stairs, corridors. Once I got into a tunnel. एक बार कहता मैं एक टनल में चला गया वो माइल्स लॉन्ग थी और वहाँ से मैं कहाँ आके निकला रूजवेल्ट होटल की लॉबी में. और अनदर टाइम क्या हुआ था कहता मैं ऑफिस की बिल्डिंग पे था on the 46th street 3 blocks away. Sometimes I think Grand Central is growing like a tree. कई बार मुझे लगता कि जो ग्रैंड सेंट्रल रेलवे स्टेशन है वो एक ट्री की तरह बढ़ रहा है. एवरी टाइम आई फाउंड न्यू कॉरिडोर्स न्यू स्टेयरकेस लाइक roots. There's probably a long tunnel that nobody knows about feeling. Its way was under the city right now on its way to Times Square and maybe another to Central Park and maybe because of for so many people through the years Grand Central has been an exit, a way of escape. Maybe that's how the tunnel I got into. बट आई नेवर टोल्ड माई साइकेट्रिस्ट फ्रेंड अबाउट दैट आइडिया कि जिस वे में मैं जाता था जो टनल मैंने देखी थी मैंने अपने साइकेट्रिस्ट फ्रेंड से कभी उसके बारे में बात नहीं की. द कॉरिडोर आई वॉज इन बिगैन एंगलिंग लेफ्ट. जिस कॉरिडोर में मैं था फिर वो लेफ़्ट को टर्न हुआ एंड स्लांटिंग डाउनवर्ड एंड आई थॉट दैट वाज रॉन्ग. फिर मेरे को लगा शायद मैं गलत आ गया हूँ बट आई केप्ट ऑन वॉकिंग एंड आफ्टर moving some steps I was able to hear the footsteps and I didn't pass a soul but nobody passed from me. Then I heard that sort of hollow roar ahead that means open space. Then I heard many sounds and that meant that uh, I was going to reach at some open space and I was right. The tunnel turned sharp left. I went down a short flight of stairs and came out. थोड़ी सी सीढ़ियाँ क्रॉस करके मैं बाहर आ गया था and I went down a short came out of the third level at Grand Central. For just a moment I thought I was back on the second level. एक मिनट के लिए मुझे लगा कि शायद मैं सेकेंड लेवल पे था सेकेंड स्टोरी पे था बट आई सॉ द रूम वॉज स्मॉलर. देयर वर फ्यूअर टिकट विंडोज एंड ट्रेन गेट्स एंड द इंफॉर्मेशन बूथ इन द सेंटर वॉज वुड एंड ओल्ड लुकिंग. लेकिन जो ये बिल्डिंग थी थर्ड लेवल की इट डिडंट मैच विद द building of second level and the information and the main man in the booth wore a green eye shade and long black sleeve protectors. The lights were dim and sort of flickering. Flickering means the lights were on and off. There were brass spittoons. Brass is a yellow colored metal and spittoons are the containers used for spitting. On the floor and across the station, a glint of light caught my eye. Then I saw an unsteady light, and it was the light from the watch of a man. He snapped open the cover. The man broke open the cover, glanced at his watch, and frowned. He wore a derby hat, black four-buttoned suit with tiny lapels, and he had a big black handlebar mustache. Then I looked around and saw that everyone in the station was. इस स्टेशन पे उसने क्या नोट किया कि हर कोई जो भी था वो इट लाइक 1890 समथिंग के ड्रेसअप में था. आई नेवर सॉ सो मैनी बियर्ड साइड बोन्स एंड फैंसी मुस्टैच इन माई लाइफ. इस तरह के लोग कहता मैंने अपनी लाइफ में पहले नहीं देखे थे. A woman walked in through the train gate. She wore a dress with leg of mutton, sleeves and skirts on the top of her high-buttoned shoes. To make sure, I walked over to a newsboy and glanced at the stack of papers at his feet. फिर मैं एक लड़के के पास गया who had a heap of papers with him. It was the word and the word hasn't been published for years. ये वो the word था और बड़े सालों से ये publish नहीं हुआ था. Lead story said something about President Cleveland. I have found that front page since in the public library files. इसका front page वैसा ही था जैसा public library में files का था. I turned toward the ticket window knowing that here on the third level at Grand Central I could buy tickets that would take Louisa and me anywhere in the United States and we wanted to go. In the year 1894 and I wanted 2 tickets to Galesburg, Illinois. Have you ever been there? It's a wonderful town still with big old frame houses, huge lawns and tremendous trees whose branches meet overhead and roof the street. And in 1894 summer evenings were twice as long and people sat on their lawns, men smoking and women talking quietly. The clerk figured the fare. Figured mean calculated. The clerk calculated the fare. He saw at my fancy hatband and he figured the fare. And I had enough for 2 coach tickets. I had the money for 2 tickets one way. But when I counted out the money and looked up, the clerk was staring at me. Clerk मुझे घूर रहा था. He nodded at the bills. They aren't money, mister, he said. And if you are trying to skin me means कहता ये सही करेंसी नहीं है और अगर तुम मुझे डिसीव कर रहे हो यू वॉन्ट गेट वेरी फॉर तुम यहाँ से भाग के ज़्यादा दूर नहीं जा पाओगे. And then he saw at the cash drawer which was near me. And that was that. I left the same way I came. I suppose next day during lunch hour I drew $300 out of the bank. फिर मैंने अगले दिन लंच के टाइम में $300 निकलवाए, nearly all we had, and bought old style currency. You can buy old money at almost any coin dealers, but you have to pay premium. My $300 bought less than 200 in old style bills, but I didn't care. Eggs were 13 cents and a dozen in 1894. But I have never again found the corridor that leads to third level at the Grand Central Station. लेकिन कहता उसके बाद मेरे को कभी भी थर्ड लेवल नहीं दिखा ग्रैंड लेवल सेंट्रल स्टेशन का. Louisa was pretty worried when I told her all this and didn't want me to look for the third level anymore. कहता लेकिन लुइसा ने मेरे को उसके बाद कभी थर्ड लेवल पे जाने नहीं दिया. And after a while I stopped. I went back to my stamps. But now we are both looking very weakened because now we have proof that the third level is still there. My friend Sam Winner disappeared. Nobody knew where, but I sort of suspected because Sam is a city boy. And one night, fussing with my stamp collection, when I was discussing my stamp collection, I found, well, do you know what a first takeover is? कि फर्स्ट डे कवर क्या है. व्हेन अ न्यू स्टैम्प इज इशूड स्टैम्प कलेक्टर्स बाय सम एंड यूज देम टू मेल एनवेल्प्स टू देमसेल्व्स ऑन द वेरी फर्स्ट डे ऑफ सेल. जब भी कोई नई स्टैम्प इशू होती है तो स्टैम्प कलेक्टर उसे बाय कर लेते हैं और उसे यूज़ कर लेते हैं टू मेल द एनवेल्प्स on the first day, and the postmark proves the date. That envelope is called a first day cover. They are never opened. You just put blank paper in the envelope. That night, among my oldest first day covers, I found one that shouldn't have been there, but there it was. It was there because someone had mailed it to my grandfather at his home in Galesburg. That's what the address on the envelope said. Galesburg के एड्रेस पे आया था. तो ये फर्स्ट लेटर जो किसी ने मेरे ग्रैंडफादर को भी दिया था. And it had been there since July 18, 1894. The postmark showed that, yet I didn't remember it at all. The stamp was 6 cents. Dull brown with a picture of President Garfield. Naturally, when the envelope came to granddad in the mail, it went right into his collection. और जब ये granddad के पास आया तो ये सीधा उसकी collection में चला गया and stayed there till I took it out and opened it. The paper inside wasn't blank. पेपर जो अंदर था वो ब्लैंक नहीं था. इस पे लिखा हुआ था, एड्रेस था मेरे ग्रैंडडैड का और लिखा था चार्ली. आई गॉट टू विशिंग दैट यू वर राइट, देन आई गॉट टू बिलीविंग you were right, And Charlie, it's true. I found the third level. मेरे को third level मिल गया है. I have been here 2 weeks and right now down the street at the deli someone is playing a piano and they are all out on the front porch singing, seeing Nelly home and I am invited over for lemonade. Come on back, Charlie and Louisa. Keep looking till you find the third level. It's worth it, believe me. The note is signed Sam. At the stamp and coin store I go to, I found out that Sam bought $800 worth of old style currency. That ought to set him up with a nice little hay, feed and grain business. He always said that's what he really wished he could do, and he certainly can't go back to the old business, not in Galesburg, Illinois in 1894. His old business. Why, Sam was my psychiatrist. So that was all with the syllabus. Now we'll start a revision. So thank you. Have a nice day ahead.